prefer to have, right? Talking only theory. So I think now in the world of Chat GPT and Gemini, we all are, equipped with so much data. We don't need to go and again talk those theoretical picture of it. So more of it, I believe we will be having an interactive session. I want to hear your point of view, where I can add my point of view. And again, in technology, there is nothing perfect, right? In academic, maybe it will be perfect, but in industry, there is nothing called perfect. We work on business, and ultimately, that business is not bringing the value, it is nothing, right? So, I mean, I will try to bring that research and academic things together, because that's how I've been to. I'm working in industry, parallelly teaching in CDEC, generally post people that comes after, BTech, and many of them like 5-6 years of experience from industry, they want to change domain, come to IoT and AI. So I believe, like, the way I teach there, I'll try to be here also. Not much of, just talking, and you are only listening. So I prefer your point of view on like more of IoT. You might be also teaching to your students, right? You will be putting your perspective, maybe some thoughts. What can we do better in, like, next 4-5 years in the research domain, where industry is looking forward to have the bright minds, right? Like, whenever a student get passed after 4 years, they expect certain things to be there, right? So those things I'll try to understand how you are thinking in that direction, and where industry is thinking direction, right? So uh, the topic that is AI, right? Many of research papers are to talk about industry. It's one of the most trending topic. Reason behind that, one of the things that you'll see everywhere you are working in IoT, or maybe some theoretical perspective of IoT talk about, it's more of data we talk about, right? People might be sitting here from computer science to talk about everyday data, volume, velocity, all those things, right? And then the shape of quantum computers that you are seeing, right? Like CDEC is again one of the leading institution that is working in quantum computing. So few places here and there I was there in workshops. So I also see like how the landscape is going to change once quantum computers are coming in the picture of IoT and AI, right? So we'll discuss little bit of it. What could be the role of quantum computer when we move from these normal, computers that we are dealing with high performance computing, right? So when we discuss edge AI, right? So edge means what? More of it, you are thinking about artificial intelligence somewhere on the edge, right? So what does that edge means? So in IoT, most of you might have been experienced, like you need some sensors, or maybe something you need to connect some switches, etc. that need to be controlled from the cloud, or you want to put that data into the cloud at very high level of it, right? But when we discuss edge AI, where does this come in, right? Let me give you quick edge case, and then I think then we can open it up more of theoretical side of it. Like currently I work in a company called Fluidra. Majorly I'm working with IntraEdge, but my parent company is Fluidra, because they have not set up the offices in India, so we are working for them. So Fluidra is one of the main swimming pool manufacturer in US and Europe market. They are top brand, around 28 companies work with them. So in US market, etc., the kind of economic condition is, and you talk about in India, right? Little difficult that market in India at the moment. So how do you see like a swimming pool, right? People, like most of you might have been, traveling and went down to a hotel. What kind of swimming pool experience you want? That is more important, right? How we are selling the experience to the customers. So our company is totally in manufacturing domain, right? Where they are designing these pumps, chlorinators, heat pumps, everything, right? That you need a perfect pool experience. So what we actually do there, just think of it like where AI will come. There are a heater, then there is a chlorinator that basically is measuring the chlorine, and then it need to turn on the chlorinator whenever that chlorine percentage is down, right? And then you have a air temperature, then pH, ORP, so many values you are calculating. Just think of each device that is separate device, 1 or 2 pumps that are there, heaters are there, thermostats are there, right? All these are sending individual data to the cloud. Just think about the cost. Ultimately, or maybe some of you will be sitting from the cyber security domain. Each connections that you make to the cloud, whether it's a PC or a IoT device, what is the challenge? You need to preserve that connection, right? It means your data should not be breached, anyone should not hack into the system. And major challenge in IoT is what? You are dealing with the real-time data that involves human aspect of it. Say for example, just take example of connected cars. Now you see even the Mahindra, right, in India, if you have seen Scorpion and all, right, they are flooded with all these connected product features. And where you are sending each and every data to the cloud, and just think of it, someone's gate is locked and automatically someone hacked into your car and opened that gate. Ultimately, it's not you are hacking the system, you are playing with the life of a people, right? We'll discuss on that responsible AI aspect little later. Like we are talking about edge AI and all, but what if as a company we are providing some AI solution, but if it is taking a human life, how that privacy section, compliance section comes into that is a bigger picture of it, right? So just think of that perspective. 20 devices connecting to the cloud and one device, and then 19 or 20 devices are connecting to that device and that device is connecting to the cloud. That is the perspective of edge. It means local nodes. Say for example, in this classroom, I want to deploy 4-5 IoT devices, small devices. Maybe I will be having one device. Let me just bring it on so that you can visualize a little more of it. We don't have any IoT ESP32 or ESP32. ESP8266. Yeah, so like this device, you look at it, right? This is ESP32 device. I think most of you might have used in your practicals, right? This is having Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Just think of it, you are deploying, it is around 38 to 40 pins here. It means you can connect relays, sensors, whatever you want, right? This device has the ability to connect to the cloud. But suppose in this classroom you have around 5-6 devices which is calculating the temperature there, then controlling the light, right? And you want all these devices to the connected to the cloud. That's how we see in academic level. Whatever we have connected to the cloud, send the data, or switch off the light, done. That's IoT. But no, it is not. It is at academic level, it's fine because we are trying to understand the concept, controlling something and all. But when we talk about edge AI, it means what I expect. This device should not connect directly to the cloud. Rather, we can have a smart node. Maybe just take an example of laptop. Maybe some of you might have seen about Raspberry Pi. Heard of it? Very popular. So what is the difference when we talk about an edge node? This ESP32. And then when we discuss edge AI, it means edge node, edge device that you are talking, right? What do you think? Like, what would be the major difference? I have this node. It has also ability to connect with the whatever sensors we want and whatever relays, and also that you can control these lights, etc. And if I talk about edge node, it means another device. This device is connecting to that device, and then that device is connecting to the cloud. What is the difference that you see? Like edge node should have. What is your perspective?
Computing power.
Computing power, right? Nicely, one point. Anything else?
Memory.
Memory. Okay.
Latency will be less.
Latency will be less. Wonderful. Any other point? I mean, 2-3 points are enough to start this conversation, right? So computing, of course, because this device, if you see, it will be having more of 4 MB of RAM, right? So you cannot do lot of computing here. That's why we call it edge node. And the cost of this node is also very less. I think 400, 500 max to max. And you buy in bulk, maybe 80 rupees or 90 rupees, right? So that's how you get these nodes. But when it comes to edge AI, AI means one of the things that you discuss about computing. What is that computing means? It means you are discussing more about whatever data that you are receiving, you can put some processing of it. Of course, every data does not need to be sent to the cloud. That is another aspect you are bringing the term called latency, right? Latency means, just think of it. We all are from basics understanding of networking. Whatever data we send to the cloud, of course, it need to be travel a larger path, right? And you are putting the command from the cloud, it will take more time. So every time do we need the involvement of the cloud? That is again one of the question that will come later, like where does cloud come? Either maybe at very initial stage when we were discussing IoT in 2019 and 2020, right? The idea of more of edge AI was just mimic the cloud, but here now role is changing because every year in industry some new things comes, or maybe the way you might have seen some of you on Nvidia website. That's how Nvidia has taken a major leap in these edge computing devices. Maybe if anyone might have holded one share of Nvidia, right? Most happiest person in this room might. Reason is there very initially, if anyone have worked with Jetson Nano board in this classroom, any Jetson Nano, similar to Raspberry Pi but more of GPU enabled board, right? We'll come to that. There are a lot of tutorials that are by default provided by Nvidia with Jetson, right? So CUDA programming and all. Either maybe some of you might have heard about transformer algorithm, etc. in AI, right? So all those things are like pre-built interaction models are there, so you can play around with that easily. So then you'll get more hands-on perspective of it. I'll come to that part. So idea like most of now we are on a common base, right? Why do we need edge AI? First thing, latency. Second very important perspective of it, I will bring it to the cost. Just think of it, you are connecting these 20 nodes to the cloud. You need to maintain the security of these 20 connections. That is a major challenge. While you are connecting one edge node, you are maintaining one connection. If anyone have went on to AWS cloud, etc., there is a service called AWS IoT Core. Similar to, you might have heard about protocol called MQTT, maybe all of you. Mosquito Broker, open source, right? Similar solution we have AWS IoT Core. Open source when we don't get realized to how much cost we pay because we are deploying on our own infrastructure locally and running and doing some POCs. But you will go on AWS website, open AWS IoT Core, you pay for each connection you do, right? So for example, 24 hours this device is making a connection to the internet, right? You pay for that connection cost as well. So does this is a feasible solution to connect each node to the cloud? No. Reason? Cost again, going high. Then you need to maintain, think of it, cyber security perspective, 20 certificates, right? Each device does not going to connect directly without certificate. You might have heard about TLS, etc., right? X.509 certificates. So there comes like these all devices need a certificate, then you need to go to root CA, get all those certificates, bring it on device and send it to the cloud. Then you will be having a secure communication. So these things, how it get reduced to one because of your edge node, right? Now, I hope the idea of edge node is clear, right? Or anyone have any doubt, any questions? Okay, great. So now when we discuss edge AI, it means another perspective. It once we have a edge node, now we are thinking how we can bring artificial intelligence, right? Of course, when we call it artificial intelligence, so it means we talk about probabilities, how many accurate this particular model could be, right? So edge AI in IoT perspective, if we talk about, it means more of we trying to enhance the user experience. Like in our swimming pool, right? What we are trying to currently play around with the user data, that is called contextual AI. More of it like you are bringing human experience. So just think of it like on swimming pool side on a Saturday, on a weekend, right? A IT professional is sitting, what he will be thinking? Maybe some drink, right? Some music. Of course, every person will be having some its own favorable temperature. Someone might like pool temperature 27, someone 25, maybe someone 22, right? Or below that, right? It means each person here has a different experience. And maybe in a winter condition, you might need those heaters, etc., right? You want to utilize those. So how will you now understand that each user needs a different experience? Here we cannot put like a kind of recommendation system where we have some text that we find it out and based on that we are doing the recommendation. More of it's now human behavior, and again that might be changing over time, right? It means your model need to be trained on a real-time data. That's the difference when we have a historical data when we learn AI in IoT, and the another side of AI that majorly deal with the lot of data that are historical, right? So here how we play around, maybe 1 week of the data will be a kind of setting the experience for that particular user for the next week. But if that user doesn't like that behavior, it may be changing it, right? then you need more data to bring that contextual experience more closer to the user. So here when we discuss edge AI, it means whatever devices that are connecting to this edge node, right? There only you want to deploy your machine learning models, and right away you want to set that particular user experience. User experience means what here? For swimming pool, you need that optimal temperature of a heater so that your water temperature remain there, right? Chlorine percentage need to be set at that time. Then whatever music that person liked, you need to have that tracks ready. So generally in our company we call it scenes, right? Scene means a particular user experience where you need to create that scene. Maybe in Bollywood music you might have heard, right? Aaj raat ka scene bana. Similar like that in swimming pool experience, you need to maintain that scene at 7 p.m. Saturday, because last Saturday 7 p.m. that person was liking this kind of environment. So if whatever you created, the scene that person doesn't like, again you need to understand the data and make your system more accurate. So of course, while you have a contextual experience or 2, 3, 4 months, your system become more accurate because you have more data there, right? But this is how in AI comes into the picture of IoT, where you are dealing with the real-time equipment control with these artificial intelligence algorithms, right? So this is how IoT and AI comes together, right? You are controlling those equipments, you are controlling those experiences of the user by, learning from the real-time data that we have. So I mean, like, what is edge computing? More of, I think, already very good introduction was given here, so I don't need to talk again. So more of it, you want to bring some intelligence or downsampling of the data from the place where your data is originating. For IoT, it's more of it, you have this node IoT device, and with this IoT device, you have another device, right? Now question comes, how do we interact these multiple IoT devices, right? So I don't have put up much things on the slide on that side. More of it I think we'll cover in the hands-on session. So like this device has an what? Bluetooth, right? So another wireless communication option, you have Bluetooth here available. It means a device, that edge node, as it must have a Bluetooth in order to transfer this data, whatever sensor data you have on it, right? Either another option you have here, Wi-Fi. So if a edge node has a Wi-Fi, then this device can connect via Wi-Fi to that node. Other options you see is a wired communication, right? Some of you might have heard about UART, SPI, I2C, all these things. Are it's looking little new. Anyone from embedded system background here? Okay, no problem. So more of it in electronics and communication, right? You might have heard like how we transfer this data between this device to this device, right? So there is called wired protocols. Like one wire, directly you connect the wire with a sensor, right? Either SPI, some sensors come, you need to connect 2 wires and then get the data. Similar way you can connect these 2 devices via those protocols, the way you connect with the sensors. So that is called wired communication. So it all will depend now how we are going to bring that data. Maybe some of you might have heard about RS485, RS282, all these kind of protocol, right? So it all now, you have an IoT node this, then you have a Raspberry Pi device, maybe for example, or Jetson Nano. You need to look at it, what is the common protocol that will help you to transfer data from your edge node and then this end node. I would say end node or IoT node, whatever you wish to say, right? So that is another picture that we need to create in the mind while we choose the solution for edge AI. Whatever IoT node you are deploying, what is the common module that will help you to get the data on your edge node? Because that, without that data, AI is nothing. So just like, fancy word you can say. So this is what, in a very simple term, edge computing brings the power of data processing closer to where it's needed most. Of course, because you don't have the data, then you cannot make that experience that I was talking in swimming pool. And those experiences you cannot deal every time with cloud. Reason? Cost. You have your own edge node. Another perspective to it, just think of it. Anyone of you like have worked on healthcare domain? So in healthcare, you might have heard about something called HIPAA compliance. What it is? You cannot store the data of a patient, right? patient vital on a cloud? That's again a big challenge. So you are continuously. I was working in a company called Bliss Healthcare. I think 2-3 years back during the Corona time. That time I taken a shift from SIDAC to that company. It was around 20 to 30 people company, US startup. And the point I joined, in Corona, what was the major thing? If we were discussing about how we can get the patient vital, these oxygen percentage, etc. In US market, they were more of throwing the money to any company which have this solution. So we moved that 20 team to around 2,000 people in just 2-3 months, just because of this IoT and AI, right? So only thing, because we were thinking all the data we will dump to the cloud, we'll share with the medical professionals, and then we'll connect to the people who generally sell the medicine, right? Stores, etc. And then automatically those things will reach to the patient depending on the vitals we have, right? But generally first once our cyber security team came, they start discussing about HIPAA compliance. So that's again a challenge. If you see holistic perspective of it, we cannot put all the data to the cloud just because I know the solution. Maybe some of you might have heard about GDPR, right? In European market, etc. Or maybe one hype you might have heard about, like Zoom, etc. Suddenly, so many things were in talk that all the data, whatever we are sharing over Zoom, is going to the China, right? But they later clarified that data center is in India, right? So again, that is challenge. Like if you are working with a European company, you cannot store their customer data in an Indian data center, right? So cloud itself is a big challenge. Looking at very easily perspective that I'll dump the data to the cloud is easy. But countries, laws, all those things you people know, right? Like you need to follow the law of the land. That's again a big challenge while you work with any IoT based solution. So healthcare again is the major thing where edge AI and all comes into the picture, because there is a foundation, you cannot put all the data to the cloud due to HIPAA compliance, right? So that's where it comes, like you have this, all the data on the edge, and then of course, because you have the data on the edge, you are processing the data right away, you are able to control those equipments, whatever you want. Otherwise, in cloud, you need to pay the cost. Local, one time you invest in the hardware, that even your customer is paying, and you are running those AI algorithm itself. Right? So edge computing, not only in the perspective of bringing the latency lower down, it has more of also consideration of compliances that each domain brings into it, and more of it like user experience, how faster it is, right? So once you kill latency, it is faster, of course. But another thing is cloud cost. Each company will not like to put one additional component, do lot of algorithm and all on the local. But because of these faster things, lower cost, edge AI is becoming popular. That's why you see the growth of NVIDIA. And maybe some of you, AWS, anyone have word on here? AWS cloud, maybe some EC2 instance and all. There is a solution called Greengrass, AWS Greengrass. It's a very powerful solution for your edge computing. We call it AWS Greengrass. Though there are a lot of open source solution as well, like there is a solution called Pura, Eclipse company. There is a solution called Pura. That is a tool name, software name, that you can also use to deploy on Raspberry Pi and all to do edge computing. Either we will discuss how we can design our own solution, right? Like you have databases, Python programming, Node.js programming. We can create our custom edge computing solution, right? But AWS Greengrass is a very powerful solution provided by AWS, that everything comes in built for your edge computing solution. You don't need to do much of programming side of it. So like in our company currently for edge computing solution, we are using AWS Greengrass. It's a very powerful software that you can easily deploy it, and then you can customize your programming logic the way you want to connect it. So all those nodes connect to AWS Greengrass, and then Greengrass connect to AWS Cloud. So it takes care of all those data management part. So IoT, I think again it's no more now the term that we can talk. So generally people talk connecting things to internet is Internet of Things, right? As simple as that. I think, do you people know like a historical perspective how IoT came into the market? What is the trigger point of it? I think we all will be knowing, right, who invented this term IoT. There was a person called Kevin Oster. In 1999, he invented this term called IoT. I didn't put up much things of IoT. I thought maybe, okay, so don't worry, I'll share the slides. I have huge slides of 68, 70 of those. You can use it for your learning purpose. So many use cases, maybe around 45, 50 use cases of different domains. You can use it. I thought, to more focus on edge AI perspective and how we bring into that edge IoT concept, etc. That's why you will not see much focus here IoT, but let me just give you the quick glimpse of it. Internet of Things, generally, like in 1991, if you talk about, before that you might have heard about the words like ubiquitous computing, pervasive computing, embedded internet, all these terminologies, right? What is the meaning of these? More of a like how we can either in today's world there is a very popular term called ambient computing. Anyone of have heard ambient computing? You might have been interacting with Alexa, Google Home and all. Like in all our company, everything is in working with Alexa and Google. And future is that, right? Generally, if you think of it, what are the most in your home, if there is a brother and sister, what is the common point for generally whenever we fight, right?
Remote.
Who will switch off the light? Now even slowly and slowly you will be thinking, why should I open my mobile phone and turn off the light, right? So future is moving towards more of luxurious life. Then you are seeing these Alexa, etc., right? Generally, ambient computing means what? You are doing the computing in an environment. Ultimately, you are not interacting with that. Like mobile phone, it's not ambient computing because you need to open it, that computing environment and do it. So when we discuss ambient computing, that is the future. You might be thinking like that, right? I need a device which do everything for me. That is your Alexa. So that is ambient computing, right? So ambient computing, whenever we talk about ambient computing, that is very classic part of your IoT while you discuss about controlling these equipment, etc., right? So in Internet of Things, when we call it like these sensors are physical objects. What is these physical objects? These are nothing but ultimately these devices that are going to have software. When we call it software, I don't know anyone of you have heard about a word called firmware. Firmware term. Like this is very common post in IT for the people who are in the embedded domain. Firmware engineering. Either whatever washing machine etc. that is programmed in our home, right? Generally we call it they are running firmware. So normal program that we write like in C programming, Node.js, Python, they are normal software program. But those programs that are written Arduino IDE, anyone? Has seen it, right? So whatever program that you write in Arduino IDE is called firmware because they are very dedicatedly written for a IoT device, right? So firmware is nothing but an embedded program, very specific that is running for a particular architecture. Maybe for ESP32, this is running for this particular architecture. Like this is extensor dual core processor, right? Maybe for some other board, STM from ST Microelectronics, right? There you need to write a ARM32 architecture program, right? So firmware is nothing but a very specific program that runs on embedded devices. That's why we call it firmware. And whatever program that we write inside, generally we flash it, right? Ultimately they keep continuously running until we reflash it because here is a flash memory, right? So in IoT perspective, this is everything. This is the only thing that we call it Internet of Things, right? So why? Because this is connecting to the cloud. That's why you call it Internet of Things. Now question comes when we call about 1991 when Internet of Things came into the market. That this was the first time things were connecting to the internet or they were before in the market? What do you think? Okay. Maybe most of us have used this mobile phone little later, post 1991. But laptops and systems were already there, right? It means they were connected to the internet. But when we calling Internet of Things, it means we were now started discussing where there is not high computing on the system. This device you talk about, 4 MB of RAM, right? Or flash memory you can say. It is connecting to the internet. So idea of Internet of Things was we can connect anything. right? It means any device which is having 4 MB of RAM, we don't worry about it. We need to connect it to the internet. That's why the market of IoT growth went faster. Otherwise, any one of you have worked on 8051 microcontroller, maybe 8085, right? We were limited to seeing those data on the LCD screen or OLED screen. IoT made that common change in the embedded domain or whatever device and all you talk about. Now everything is over cloud. So when we call it Internet of Things, it means anytime, anywhere, anything. It means you talk about Alexa, mobile phone, web application, you can control anything from anywhere. There should not be geographical foundation, right? So all these things when we discuss about it, Internet of Things, major thing is connectivity. It means your internet, that is important source of connectivity. Second one, we say for example software. Software here is firmware that we write specifically on a IDE. Maybe classic example is your Arduino. You write some code, flash into it, so that's software you need, right? And hardware, of course, you have here. Actuators, I think most of you have heard about actuators. Something, a output device, maybe a very simple example could be an LED. You connect it here for basic testing purpose. Say for example, you write a program on this device where your temperature is going more than 25 degrees centigrade, ambient temperature. You want to turn off the LED. This is very simple example of your IoT, where you are controlling one environment with another environment. One environment is what? Your temperature sensor. And then it is turning on or turning off the AC based on temperature. This is your basic IoT. Now what AI will do here? It will learn from the person's behavior, what temperature it likes, and automatically it will start those business logic to be tweaking. Sometimes like maybe it will start learning in the month of Jan what kind of temperature he like have, or maybe optimal temperature every person 20 to 20 whatever. So that basic IoT, if you think of it, you hard coded in program if temperature greater than this. Ultimately you cannot change it until unless you do the OTA. You might have heard about OTA. Yes. Firmware over the air, right? It means this device should be able to take the firmware update from the cloud whenever a new firmware is available. But is it feasible for every time to update the customer requested? Just think of industry perspective now. We can't do it, right? That's where you are seeing lot of edge AI is coming, because it is changing that if condition of a programmer based on the behavior of the continuous data that we receive. So in Internet of Things post 1991, the growth that you see, these devices start connecting to the internet. And if you will read the history, you will laugh why IoT came into the market. So Kevin Ashton was a manager of a company called I think Isle of Ole, something is the name of their brand. So it's a more of cosmetic, I think. That is the industry. I can't recall the exact name of that brand. Isle of Ole, I think, is a lipstick brand, something like that. So he was the manager of that company. So think of it like more of normal inventory system. So he was the manager of that company, and suddenly he realized that in my company there are 100 products, but the dealers that are connected with us, right, they are running out of the stock. He went on to some just checking, like say for example, like classic example could be you are owner of a Mahindra company. You have 1000 car manufacturer and put up in your inventory system, but you don't have the right information when I need to deliver 20 cars to this particular dealer, this dealer and this dealer. Something was the case of that lipstick brand that he was heading. Then he thought, if anything, I am heading this whole company. He was the manager, so of course he need to take care of all these things. How can I sitting in my company and see like here only 5 pieces are remaining, here 7 pieces are remaining, and I can enhance my supply chain management. Right away I can, I have the real-time data, I can send another 15 or 20 pieces to that stock. That's how the IoT term was coined. And another word that RFID you might have heard, right? Radio frequency. RFID major research and work is done by this person only, Kevin Ashton, who invented the term. So his idea was, if I will start putting RFID tags on each pieces of it, and if I can connect anyway these particular tags to the internet, then I will be having the information of those number of counts, right, that I need from anywhere. That's how the IoT thing, started shaping in. So more of initial idea of IoT was that you need the count of those pieces to the cloud. But suddenly, of course, that was an idea that taken shape slowly and slowly. Research and all, majorly you see a graph around 2020, 21012, right? Yes. So I think when I started my BTech, 2012, right? So that time we will put IoT on the internet. I still remember. Will not get first name like Internet of Things. That's how it was. When I reached to 2016, that time little bit of it, more of people started talking on Intel, etc. And real picture of IoT that started in industry is more of from 2017. Even that was at very initial phase. Even these devices were not there. ESP8266 that sir was talking, Node MCU. That was Wi-Fi based code. Some of IIT Delhi and all they used to organize, right? Turn on the LED, turn off the LED, and they used to cost 3,000 rupees. I still remember. That time I did my PG diploma from CDEC only in Internet of Things. Very new. Faculty was struggling. We were struggling. We were not knowing what I will do in my life. That was I mean in 2017 if I talk about. I mean people were discussing I need a job. I was having the job. I left that job. I got placed from college. But I was thinking, okay, it's something that is interesting because I did my graduation from BTech from Electronics Communication. And that time I seen the power, how you can bring those software and hardware closer. But I was not sure about my future. Literally, I am saying 2017, there were, very few jobs. So I got placed in CDEC only. I started my journey in government organization, 2-3 years, R&D, research papers and all. But that was not giving that kick you need, right? You want something hands-on. Hands-on was there, not like in CDEC you don't do hands-on. But hands-on means 10 devices you are connected to the cloud. Like currently I am handling 10 lakh devices that are connected to the cloud. You see the load on the cloud, right? Now I don't care like what kind of question you throw at me sitting here or standing here. I can handle your load because I am handling the load of the devices. So that thing you get only when you go in industry. Academic, we generally display one device, two device, everything was fine. But in industry it is not the case. Maybe whatever you are running, you deploy to the production, suddenly loads increases, everything is down. And there is a heater. Heater we are talking, is called heat movement. The point your system went down, everyone is paying the cost for you. You have that thing need to in mind how we keep the system running. Leave everything. When your internet stops, you start calling to the person, why my internet are not working, right? So that's the challenge that brings into the industry. You need to design your system that should not be hacked. They need to be running 24/7. It should not be a case like suddenly they are getting, stopped after 6 months. It all need that robust solution, right? So once I left CDEC, I think around 2020, then I started with this Bliss Healthcare. Then I learned like everything you cannot put into the cloud. It means edge computing is important because that's a healthcare domain that given me that perspective of it. Later, now currently I am working in a swimming pool company. Here is a bigger challenge. Post that I was working with a company, Accenture. I worked with 2 years, but in that I worked with 2-3 clients. One was very famous, Unilever. They were having connected air purifier. Post that I was working Nissan you might be knowing, right? Nissan cars. So connected cars. I started my journey as an architect in that project, Nissan connected cars. So there we were designing on solutions related to connected cars. How these gates etc. get opens, how you want those ignition system to run. So there I got the perspective of connected car. Connected car is more challenging. Then I joined this organization, Fluidra. So here more of it now manufacturing domain. Little slow things goes here. Not that faster like connect. Other domain reason in manufacturing you cannot keep changing the things in 1 or 2 days like a Zomato company or maybe Swiggy, right? Reason you need the cost that is involved with the equipment. So in IoT you talk about So in this context, if you think about in IoT, major challenge where you will face once you will start thinking different domain. IoT RAGI solution has its own challenges with different domains, and once you start doing the research paper, I will always say look for the compliance. It's again a very important part of it. Very less work has been done in the IoT and AI industry in compliance side of it. What is the responsibility when you design a solution? So try to think also in that perspective. So post 1991, I'll come back to that particular point again. Post 1991, IoT started, I mean, just very theoretical level. People just started putting the terms and all. It started shaping in post 2017, and I would say rather post 2020. Most of the solution that started coming in at a production level where companies invested so much money. Even in India market, you see very less size. But if you talk about Europe, US, China, they are very huge. China is leading also in IoT region behind that. They are the one who is having, this hardware level of control still. I would say something you talk about this device, you are paying 400 or 500 rupees. In China, you need to pay 50 rupees. Think the difference in India and China. We talk about so much things, of course, like we don't want to buy from China, but what happens? You buy from China, things goes to US and it comes to you. This is what used to happen. When I was working with Bliss, they buy the product from China, goes to US and that used to come to India. And they all the white labeling. You might not be knowing. Generally we talk about brand, you buy 50 rupees things from China. And China is a country which is very open. They don't care about their brand. They'll sell you anything, put white label, sell it with 6,000 rupees. That's how company earns in embedded or hardware domain. So I would say how much revenue you bring in IoT. That time I've seen that power of IoT. We used to invest most vital kit that company used to sell 200 or 300 rupees. And how much amount we used to get it? 6,000. Count the number of percentage here. That's why in IT sometimes people think why I'm getting 50 lakh rupees. Though I am sleeping in work from home, right? Reason, you sell the things of 300 rupees to 6,000 rupees. In technology and medicine, you cannot predict the cost. When you go and buy a clothes, right? You start bargaining it. But once you buy and go to the company and ask IoT solution, you will not going to talk. Can you give me 1 lakh rupees of solution of 90,000? You don't have the idea how it was. That's why these markets have so much money involved into it that people are discussing. In academic, we get fascinated by those research changing parameters. In company, if there is no business, whatever technology you talk about, it's nothing but garbage. As simple as that. They will invest 6 months, they'll see zero return. You talk about blockchain, IoT, AI, anything. If this is not bringing money, it's garbage. As simple as that. So reason behind that IoT and AI we are talking so much because of the luxury that people want. Ultimately, the right word to use, luxury. Maybe some of you, you start getting money what you want. In my home, if I reach at 8, my preferred music should be, there. Those doors are open. When I am 5 kilometers away from my home, my oven should start baking whatever things I like. That's where IoT is. Generally, you might have heard about geofencing, all of you. Geofencing, right? Geofencing means what? Lot of things you might have heard about. In war and all, geofencing is lot of used, right? Like, suppose you want to cross the border line. So generally those people who go for fight, etc., they generally wear those tags. So right away start having alarms, etc. Geofencing is a common solution. Even in connected cars and all, this solution is coming. Say for example, you lock a location, latitude and longitude value, and whenever you put up something called like 500 meter, right? 500 odd meter of distance. If you post that, if you are going beyond that point, you start getting alarms, etc. So geofencing is nothing but like a fence within a location. If you cross that, you will start whatever you want, alert, notification, shut down something, right? So geofencing is nothing but a location based boundary. So in IoT connected product market, in IoT geofencing is again one of the very prominent things that people are discussing and developing. Like in our company when I was there with Unilever, connected purifier system was there, right? So say for example you are coming from your office, and before 5 kilometer, what you want? Your room, optimal air temperature and I mean temperature, a whatever ppm value etc. That is like optimal condition of a room need to be there, right? If you will keep your air purifier running 24/7, you are going to pay the cost for it, energy etc. Right? So we used to we developed a solution called geofencing. So what we used to ask to a user on mobile app, go and set your location of what? Your air purifier. Say for example it is kept in this room, and then you are moving from this particular room to some different location. Think of from here airport building, how much kilometers, sir? 8 kilometers, right? So in this classroom, when you leave from airport to this classroom there is 8 kilometers, right? So you start traveling. Maybe you set up that whenever I am within the range of 5 kilometers of this classroom, I need my air purifier to be turned on. It should set a optimal air quality in this classroom, right? So what it will do? It will start latitude longitude fix where your air purifier is, and in your mobile location, your latitude and longitude is continuously changing. So it take that data with 2 latitude and longitude. You always can calculate the distance, that how you see on the map. Right? And here, once that distance reaches 5 kilometers, what happens? Your equipment gets turned off. This is again one of the main solutions that people are now developing in IoT domain. So where your equipments are getting controlled by what? Based on the distance. In car etc. also, like theft control system and all. In parking, like whenever you lock your car, right? Smart lock etc. is there, and suppose someone is trying to start the car. That is again a challenge, right? So you can always do the geofencing. So whenever that car will reach to that particular 500 meter, you will get a alert. So this is again in IoT very common solution. So all these things that we are discussing in IoT, it's again drilled down to this IoT small device. So it's a very small device but very powerful. And ultimately this is connecting to the cloud via either a edge gateway, either directly. Now question comes again, do we have all the devices that can connect to the cloud, or is there like some more devices that we might need not to be think of, like they can directly connect to the cloud? There could be a possibility, right? Okay, let us take it like different way. What is the basic thing that you people think like you need in order to connect something to the internet? Very basic thing. Like suppose you need to connect to the internet, what you need? IP address, right? Without IP in internet world, whatever internet of things we are talking, there is no thing that can connect to internet without an IP address, right? That's why we need routers etc. Right? That provides an IP address with DHCP protocol. We all know about that. So here think of it. Some of you have heard about Zigbee, Bluetooth Low Energy. These devices doesn't have IP capability. It means they are more of personal area network devices, right? 100 meter or less than that. There you always need a gateway. Always remember, this device has Wi-Fi, so it can connect to the cloud. Without gateway, it means you are no more interested in Edge AI. You are only thinking IoT. Whatever data I am getting, I want to dump it to the cloud. Either what I want from cloud, I have so much money, I just want to waste it. I don't care because I am learning, right? So in that case, what you will do? Right away, Wi-Fi device connect to the cloud. But if a device like an NRF board and all that comes, right? Like there is very popular board called NRF 51822. So that board has only Bluetooth. It cannot connect to the cloud. So then you will need some edge where Bluetooth to Bluetooth is connecting, and then you can connect to the cloud. One practical we will do maybe after some time. I will show you like how Bluetooth and all works. Some practical so that you should be able to visualize it. So I mean, so many definitions you might have heard about AI. This is how I think AI. Right? I always say, like, ठीक है. I need to switch then from. हाँ, वो इकट्ठे करा दूँगा. So, generally, what is AI? It's very simple term, right? Artificial intelligence. So there is called human intelligence and there is called artificial intelligence, right? Maybe some of you might be hearing about deep learning, so many things, right? So how do you see like artificial intelligence? This is very common thing that I thought software that imitates human behavior and capabilities. But does this definition is perfect or still some imperfections are there? I would say like maybe I might have written one more keyword than it might. Trained human behavior, that might have been better word to use. Now suddenly I realized. So it might not be a internet keyword. I was thinking what I can put it, right? So ultimately in artificial intelligence, whatever we train my system to learn from this data and all, right? That only it can mimic. That's why we call it artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is more of domain specific. We treat it like generally what is, I would say, a misconception among developers. 90% people write Python program and they think like they are AI developer. No, it is not. Sorry, AI is something different, right? You write PyTorch, Keras, whatever library you talk, right? People learn TensorFlow, they think they are AI developer. No, you are just a Python developer. You're writing those imports and running some things, not AI developer, right? Sorry, it's not. AI is very specific domain to domain, right? Maybe if you have to understand AI, you need to sit with a doctor for a section of medical, right? How you are writing Python program, just putting some plots of graph, you think AI developer? No, it's a Python developer just using some data, draw the graph. Someone already written it. AI is more of stats and math. You need to write your own algorithm, right? Other than that, there is no AI. You are a Python programmer. That's how I treat it, right? So before that, human intelligence is important. Otherwise, you are a Python programmer. Nothing else. Someone written the library, you code, write, put up some apple, 100 apples, and you are saying, okay, it's apple, not orange. It's AI. Oh man, this was there between 1978 and 1980. What else you are talking, right? So that way, it's not AI. But generally in India, everyone write AI programmer and all. That's why we earn 12 lakh and someone else 50 lakh, right? The difference is there. So generally when we discuss AI, it means the person should be smart enough to train the system. Not the system already trained and consumed. That's how the difference comes in, right? So AI is very specific domain to domain where you need domain experts. They should provide you that insight. Then you write your own algorithm. You write your own mathematics algorithms, right? Whatever algorithm we talked about. So here comes the role of data structure. That's why I say whatever you become, until unless you don't know the data structure, you are done. You need tree, you need stack, that is the foundation of any software engineer. And this is the whole thing that brings AI to the market. And now in AI, at least some of you might have heard about R programming. Initially R and Python, these are very popular. So again you need to go to the drawing board and whatever you have studied from class 8, algebra, calculus, they are the actual real meanings of artificial intelligence. Otherwise, of course, write import OpenCV, show some image, calculate the moving, this is AI, right? So it's fine, but like in company and all, we have very huge challenge. We need to write our own algorithm because otherwise they don't work that way. Of course, because of the ChatGPT and all, things has become little less hectic. You will ask me to do the development that I used to do in 20 days, now I do it 2 hours, max to max 6 days. What we need now is smart mind. AI is doing the job for us, but you need human intelligence, right? So ultimately it behaves like a human, provided that human is intelligent. Otherwise, your AI is, I don't know what is the English word to use, unintelligent or disintelligent, whatever, right? So more of AI is totally dependent upon the human. You train a robot and you stop telling that robot, right? Our company also develop robotic cleaner that goes inside the swimming pool. Even some of the key project that I am handling is on robotics as well. That goes inside the swimming pool, clean the pool. It is run on the floor and all these things is fully automatic. Nothing they need to do in swimming, right? So now that is easy. Goes inside a pool. You are training a robot and you forget to tell you need to kill all the person, but don't kill kill the person who created it, right? Right away you put up that robot and kill you the first instance. It was not the robot fault. It was the person who trained that robot, right? Think of it like how AI is so dangerous. So AI is again like very subjective topic. We cannot define in terms. More of it you can think of intelligence that is totally based on the data. If the data is wrong, your intelligence is wrong. That's all is artificial intelligence. That's why we call it still artificial. Right? You can wear any kind of jewelry. No one care about like it is 1 lakh rupees or 10 rupees. Same is AI. You can write any algorithm, doesn't matter until unless it is bringing the business value. So I think we already discussed all these factors. These are the keywords that we have already written, right? Whenever you start feeling sleepy, just let me know, right? I'll find some other way. So more of it we discussed, right? Security, bandwidth, low latency. I think the slides now we have already. So this part we already discussed, like ability to deliver real time, those changes and control those equipments. So look at very classic example here. I just try to bring something with the device here. So sensor embedded with IoT devices like ESP32 collect continuous data streams for devices in applications like smart homes, factories, or agriculture. Again, in IoT, one best thing is once you learn a technology, mostly what it changes sensors and little bit of compliance. You keep selling your technology from one company to another and keep 30% hike in your pocket. That's how IT market works in India. Your salary will totally depend upon how many companies you switched. In India, doesn't matter how many intelligence you carry. You work in a company 3 years in IT, right? Your salary 10. You switch 3 companies, your salary is 90%, right? So that is the difference in So here in Edge, what is the benefit of it? You talk about any particular domain, but one thing that is common, your technology almost remains same. Only thing it will change, sensors, your consumers, but AWS IoT core will remain same. If you learn the MQTT protocol, okay, just let me get your understanding. Do you know MQTT protocol, all of you? I'll share a separate slide for that. MQTT is very popular protocol. So whenever we discuss, say for example, 2 devices like Raspberry Pi and ESP32, you want to bring that data from here to here, how you will bring over Wi-Fi? Then you need MQTT protocol, right? We will do some hands-on, second off, so that yes, you need publisher, subscriber, and then MQTT broker, right? So it's a very powerful. All the cars, etc., that you see, right, are coming. They are using MQTT protocol for transferring the data to the cloud. So it's open source. The best part is it's open source. If you have to learn it, you don't need to pay for it. I'll cover second. What I assumed, I think I assumed too much. I was thinking that you people are like full-blown IoT people, and then I need to only discuss AI. That's why maybe some uninteresting thing might be coming in. So forgive me for that. I just went on so much assumptions, but it's okay. I mean, like I thought IoT part of it is already covered something. That's why I went very high level of it. But you note down somewhere MQTT is very, in industry 90% IoT developers uses the MQTT protocol. Reason of it, in IoT, first thing you remember, whenever we discuss Edge, again one challenge we discuss about computing. So in internet, the data that you send, right, these nodes are not every time deployed in your home. Maybe just talk about connected car. you are continuously traveling, so your internet is not going to be stable, right? It will keep speed up and down, right? So in that case, how will you handle the case? So major things that comes in IoT is the size of the data that you transmit over internet. So there something you might have heard about header size with each protocol, maybe with HTTP, header plus payload, right? Yeah, TCP protocol, all these things. So in TCP, like, I'll leave everything. Let's keep it aside. Discuss TCP and UDP. I think most of us study OSI, right? What is the trigger point to choose TCP over UDP? And connectionless. Brilliant, right? So connection oriented, when we say, what is the meaning of this, right? We keep teaching to the students connection oriented, connection oriented. Does that mean whenever we use TCP we need to connect wires? No, right? It works over Wi-Fi also, right? So what is the meaning of connection oriented here? Have you ever heard about the term called handshake? Three-way handshaking, something, right? Why do we need this handshaking? Just think of it, leave technology. Why do we do handshake in our real life? And with how many people you do handshake? At a time one. And do we need to do handshake with everyone? Maybe with the way you might be interacting with sir, or maybe with your friend will be different, right? The people you are more familiar with, so all right? But like when you meet sir first time, hi sir, how are you? Just do a handshake. It means what you are trying to do, connection oriented. Otherwise, maybe you will try to understand if I am speaking English, that person understand English or not. I am speaking Hindi, does that person understand Hindi or not? That's why you do handshake, you try to understand first each other, right? Before you start speaking. Otherwise, suppose I start speaking in, because my hometown is Ayodhya, right? I will start speaking in Audhi. So maybe some of you might get because of Hindi, but maybe not everything, right? But before that, what is the first thing? As a teacher or faculty, first thing is handshake. While you go in a class, like in CDEC, I taught around 12 batches now, maybe around 1000 students that I trained, they will be in IT. But every time I face a challenge, what? Every batch is a new challenge. Day 0 you go, you cannot assume they will be smart people who know everything. I need to understand, okay, they don't do networking. I need to teach. Like for here, it's a challenge is only I need to have 4-5 hours. And I need to discuss so many things, right? But when I go in class, only thing I do first thing, I understand what basics they do. First thing, I understand region. We generally call it like this subject stuff. Maybe something you might not be knowing. I may think, yaar, ye banda jaldi bahar nikal jayega. I get a tea or coffee, right? That's how students start thinking. That's why the life of a faculty decreases. सबसे ज़्यादा गाली और फैकल्टी खाता है, राइट? कभी आप बैठे होंगे उस सीट पे तो you might be knowing that feeling, right? पता नहीं यार क्या बोल रहा है, जल्दी बाहर जाता हूँ, चाय पी के आता हूँ. That's how it started. So when I become the faculty, right? Because I am working in both field, one thing I learned, man, how I can reduce the number of abuses, right? This is the first priority. So one thing I learned, why people get uninterested in a subject, first thing, you don't get the basics. जो आपके साथ हो भी रहा होगा, we understand that thing. क्योंकि जो चीजें मैं बात कर रहा हूँ बहुत ऊपर की भी हो सकती हैं, but because you people are faculty, if you have the keywords, you have that maturity, you can go and understand the things, because here I need to feed more information so that you can. But student को क्या लगता है, तो यहाँ से निकल जाओगे. So only thing I did is syllabus में क्या लिखा, I don't read it from day 0. 3 दिन तो मैं syllabus कभी टेस्ट नहीं करता. What I'll do, I'll go and ask some quick questions. किसी ने आंसर नहीं दिया तो मुझे समझ में आ गया. Before you talk IoT, talk networking. वो SI जो है समझ में आनी चाहिए उनको. TCP, UDP समझ में आना चाहिए. IP क्या होता है समझ में आना चाहिए, right? Other than you will be the first person if your age was written 80 days, trimmed down to 60 days. कितनी गाली कितना हो, कुछ कहीं तो लगेगी, राइट? किसी के मुंह पे तो सरस्वती रहेगी, राइट? So maybe if it is happening in the class, please forgive me. I don't have any option. So ultimately, what I try to say, I mean these are the very big names. We can talk. Faculty तो ऐसे भी research paper लिखना मजबूरी होती है, right? When I was in CTech, we used to write, right? So सर को पता होगा वो पेन, right? We are bound to write. That's the biggest problem in India. Here sometimes compulsion makes us to work, not because I want to work, right? So what? Maybe कुछ लोग ऐसा होगा कि आपको FDP का सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए इसलिए आप बैठे, कुछ लोगों को सीखना होगा इसलिए बैठे. I'm just asking. I mean, this is my point of view, right? ऐसा भी होता है. This could be a case. इंडिया में ऐसे ही है. Because I interact with US people and I see उनको नहीं काम करना, they pack their bag, they go. Here's manager मार डाले, right? Cannot go. They want to drink, they'll go and drink. They don't care. They have to complete the work. Next day they'll sit in morning. They are more efficient than us. Reason? We don't want to work, but we are still working. Maybe economy and all that stuff fine, but the kind of culture we have built around India, right? The student BTech करते हैं तो उनको पता नहीं होता क्यों करते हैं. Faculty पढ़ा है but क्यों पढ़ा है उसको नहीं पता. Maybe वो बंदा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स का है, वो पढ़ा क्या रहा है? Maths. और उसको भी नहीं पता मैं क्या पढ़ा रहा हूँ. He'll open the note, start reading things. That's how in India education. क्योंकि मैं बीटेक के बाद वाले बच्चों को पढ़ाता हूँ, तो मैं पहले दिन मुझे समझ आता है व्हाई यू डिड इन बीटेक. सर ना मैंने एग्जाम पास किया था. तो मैंने कहा हाउ यू पास इट. कह रहा सर मैंने जो लिखा मुझे भी नहीं पता था, फैकल्टी ने जो चेक किया उसको भी नहीं पता था. दैट्स हाउ आई गॉट द मार्क्स, राइट? सो idea is not like to humiliate anyone or anything. I am just talking about our Indian culture that education system is built around. क्योंकि मैं भी उसी स्टेज से गया हूँ. My college CB Raman still it's a very better place. I would say the way यहाँ पे जो भी engagements है, बाहर के लोग आते हैं. बहुत कम कॉलेजेस है where like जैसे सर ने इतना एफर्ट्स डाला, हम लोग आए, कुछ न कुछ तो बता रहे हैं. कॉलेजों में लोग बीटेक पास करते हैं, वहीं पढ़ाते हैं, राइट? अब उनको बेचारे समझ नहीं आ रहा है मुझे 15,000 से 20,000 कैसे सैलरी करनी है, और वो पढ़ा के बच्चों को भी वही समझा रहे हैं. They will get place in TCS and all. TCS you went the garbage, 7 year waste. You don't know what you are doing. Opening the laptop, closing the laptop. मेरे को भी 7 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है because I work in a product company. Maybe it will look like 20 years. Region, I work always on a new technology, new things. I build something. That's why. But आप TCS में होगा, laptop खोलो बंद करो. That's why in IT culture, drink and smoke is common. Why? People don't know what they are doing. So how? कुछ तो चाहिए, right? So इसका रीजन क्या है? अपने एजुकेशन सिस्टम से शुरू होता है. क्यों? क्योंकि अपन को पता ही नहीं है कि व्हाट नीड टू बी टॉट, व्हाई. बहुत कम कॉलेजेस सीवी रमन जैसे जहाँ पे एफडीपी हो रहा होगा, आइदर दे विल ट्राई टू ब्रिंग सम इंडस्ट्री पीपल. बिकॉज कहीं मैं कॉलेजों में था शुरू में, वो सिलेबस डिजाइन एंड ऑल, आई लेफ्ट इट बिकॉज व्हेन आई एम सेइंग दे आर नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग. सर ये तो टफ बता दे रहे हो आप, सिलेबस में डाल देंगे तो पढ़ाएंगे कैसे? नाउ दैट पर्सन एज अ फैकल्टी इज थिंकिंग how I will survive in my job. Leave student. मतलब यहाँ और अच्छे कॉलेजों की बात करो, बहुत अच्छे कॉलेज, because I cannot name it. सीडेक में एक प्रोग्राम था सर्व नोइंग एवरीथिंग, तो वहाँ पे बहुत हमारे इंटरेक्शन हुए. I went to north east and so many places I visited in India while I was in सीडेक. तो मेरे को इसका एक्सपीरियंस बहुत अच्छा हो गया. ऑडियंस एक्सपीरियंस दैट इज कॉल्ड, राइट? तो मैंने एक चीज कॉमन समझा है एजुकेशन में, बिकॉज आई एम टीचिंग आल्सो. वन थिंग इज वेरी कॉमन, नो वन नोट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन एजुकेशन. कुछ कॉलेजेस हैं जैसे सीवी रमन वगैरह, यहाँ पे आप देखोगे सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस है, वेरी फ्यू. मैं यहाँ पे पीजी डिप्लोमा प्रोग्राम भी रन करता था, बाहर के इंडस्ट्री लोग आते हैं. इसी वजह से क्या हो रहा है, इतना गैप क्रिएट हो गया है, टू मच गैप. और इसीलिए अपने पास अभी जो मार्केट है, इट्स मोर ऑफ सपोर्ट मार्केट इन आईटी. अभी कंटिन्यूअसली ग्रो कर रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री यूएस वगैरह में स्लो डाउन हुआ. तो ऑफ कोर्स वहां पे सेम सॉल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट को 3 करोड़ पे करना पड़ता है जो इंडिया में 50 लाख का. देयर इज द डिफरेंस ऑफ सैलरी, राइट? सो दे आर विजिटिंग इंडिया. हियर दैट्स व्हाई टू मच मैन पावर इज नीडेड इन एआई आईओटी. मैं सॉल्यूशन आर्किटेक्ट बना क्यों? इसका रीजन पता है? कि अंधे में काना रहा. व्हाट हैव हर्ड इट. पीपल आर नॉट देयर, सो यू कैन इजीली ग्रो इट. आप जावा सीखो मार्केट में, now you have to fight with 10,000 rupees salary person who is working. कुछ नहीं मिला था, 10,000 पे जावा पे डेवलपर बन गया. तुम 50,000 वाला क्यों देगा भाई, 10,000 वाला रेडी। आप एआई में और आईओटी में काम करोगे, व्हाट इज द बेनिफिट, पीपल ही नहीं है। जैसे आप एक दुकान पे जाओ राइट, जो राइस आप मांग रहे हो 2 ही कंपनी सेल करती है ही नहीं वो, तो तुम्हें पैसा पे करना पड़ेगा। दैट्स व्हाई आईओटी और एआई में सैलरी बहुत ज्यादा है, रीजन सिंपल है, लोग ही नहीं। लिटरली आई एम सेइंग मैन पावर नहीं है आईओटी में। सो दैट इज द बेस्ट। आई मीन हम लोगों ने आईओटी यहाँ पे सर कम 17 से शायद 17-18 से व्हेन आई जॉइंड, आई थिंक आई स्टार्टेड कमिंग टू सिविल लेवल। यहाँ एक महीने में रहा हूँ, तो इस कॉलेज से फेमिलियरिटी, मतलब इट्स नॉट न्यू टू मी। देयर वाज वन प्रोग्राम हियर फॉर इंटर्नशिप, आई वाज देयर फॉर 1 मंथ। तो यहाँ के बच्चों मैंने वो देखा कि स्पार्क था रीजन। यहाँ बच्चे अच्छे भी हैं, मैंने देखा है, दे आर लाइक वेल सेटल्ड एट डिफरेंट प्लेसेस आल्सो वंस यू सी कंपेयर्ड टू अदर कॉलेजेस। जैसे नोएडा में कॉलेज आप जाओगे, वहाँ असली एज कंप्यूटिंग चलता है। Do the down sampling of the student, तो 12th तक जितनी मैथ आ रही होती है, पोस्ट बीटेक वो भी भूल जाते हैं। लिटरली आई एम सेइंग एप्टीट्यूड नहीं निकलता उनका फर्स्ट राउंड, दिस इज अ चैलेंज। व्हाई आई पुट अप ऑल these points, because technology is fine, but how we are developing the students as a faculty is again a challenge. So I'll come back to this. So here AI at the edge is more of, you know, these devices that are continuously getting the data. Then take an example of Raspberry Pi node that you are putting there, and how you are connecting these Raspberry Pi and ESP32. So with Wi-Fi, because they are connected to the same router, they are in one network. So like now question come TCP and UDP that we were discussing, right? Connection oriented and handshake when we call. So connection oriented का मतलब होता है handshake. Your connection need to be established before you start sending the data. During that connection establishment what happen, दोनों डिवाइस अपने आप को बताती, my capacity to receive the data is this one, that also client also tells my capacity to receive to data this one. Now because they know each other, that's why we call it handshake, 3-way handshake. SYN flag, SYN plus, CK, all those flags. So that sequence number, what is the next packet you are going to receive, right? So in these cases your data is not going to be lost anywhere. You know each other system, you cannot send hundreds of packets. Maybe like in this classroom, maybe a UDP kind of behavior might be happening. Some people, what I am trying to say, will be getting 100%, some might not 50%. It could be a case, right? I am assuming. So region, I have not a proper handshake I didn't try to understand what background you come, how much you, region we don't have time, right, to talk that much. But because no handshake, so what is the chance? Some data may be low, right? I am talking from where it might have been a person from embedded background might have got that word in right away, but for you I might have taken another 2 minutes to explain that part. So in UDP protocol, what happens? There is no handshake. We don't know each other. Right away we send the data. Now think of it. Whenever we talk about more robust system, what we need to bear? Something we need to bear, right? So that is what in networking we call it headers, metadata. So in TCP protocol, your minimum header size is 20 bytes. It goes till 60 bytes, but UDP always 8 byte header is fixed. Just think of it, you are using TCP as a protocol, and top of it may be HTTP, right? You are sending 1 byte of data, and your header size with TCP plus HTTP goes till any level. There is no fixed header size for HTTP because it's again developer dependent. So 1 byte of sensor data you are sending with 80 bytes of header. It means ultimately over internet how much data you are sending? 81 bytes. So HTTP protocol was a very prominent protocol that still is over internet, right, for transferring data etc. But why MQTT was designed? Because MQTT has less header size. MQTT header size is 2 to 5 bytes. So it was designed for constrained environment, like particularly IoT device. So if you are sending 1 byte of sensor data, ultimately you are transferring how many bytes? 3 bytes to the internet. In that case, the major benefit is that your bandwidth is also require less because you are sending less data. That's why MQTT protocol is very popular. So with this ESP32, I can easily connect this laptop board. If this laptop is running Ubuntu, we can deploy this broker itself, and then we can easily transmit the data to this and then send it to the cloud. We'll do all these hands-on. So more of it like here your Raspberry Pi, or maybe we don't have this Raspberry Pi, so we can use this as a edge node because both will connect to Wi-Fi, so we can easily do telematics, etc. So lot of classic example could be like predictive maintenance is again in industrial IoT very common use case. Each company is looking. Maybe some John Deere tractors and all you might have seen, right? They are now bringing predictive maintenance. They continuously keep checking battery health and all. Either it become a common field, even in some of the bikes, etc. Now they started putting it. They continuously check your temperature, battery, all those things, and then they'll call you like your maintenance is due and all, right? Predictive maintenance, it means before your system get perished, you are getting the alerts or maybe calls. And in big companies like in Australia, there was a project on these furnace etc, right? They are very heavy temperature, 2000-degree temperatures and all. Once there is a blast, done. So in Australia, in industrial IoT for predictive maintenance, because Siemens and all has taken the whole scape, so many things are there, right? So now they are bringing these new IoT solutions where you deploy the sensors, you continuously monitor it, and there is more vibration, more heat, you can easily generate alerts, send it to the mechanic. Slow down, I mean, will be less, basically with predictive maintenance. So there again, a lot of AI is there in the market. This example we already discussed, right? So enhance efficiency and cost reduction. So connecting one device to the cloud and then connecting 20 devices to the cloud. Again generate huge amount of cost for your security as well as for your connections that you maintain, right? So another part why we prefer Edge AI. And then more of it, your privacy regulations like GDPR. So privacy and security is again one of the main concern. You cannot put all the data to the cloud. You need edge computing or edge AI. I will share all these slides. I think people will get it. And then reliable intelligence in remote area. This is, I would say, very important part in AI, edge AI when we call it, or edge computing. Just think of it, if your system is totally controlled over internet, without internet it doesn't work, you are at very high risk. So there edge plays a wide, either in companies like in our companies, we need auditing. You might have heard about AAA, authentication, authorization and accountability, right? That accountability means auditing. So like in companies, whenever there is of course a chance of your systems, IoT systems are getting hacked. I say like your system is smart and secure till the point no one is more smarter than the technology it is developed. Anything is hackable in this world, right? But is it hackable? That's again a question, right? At what time it will be hacked? Like people call in our India, you might have heard about EVMs, right? Every election happens, people start discussing. So software, anyone can hack it. Anything is hackable. Even like then why you are using your bank system? Close it. Close it, right? Because that can be hacked anytime, right? So software are hackable. No one can deny this fact. It's a logical, right? But at what extent? It's a very difficult. Even like EVM system, I was reading and understand. It's not easy to hack. They don't have Bluetooth etc. where you can connect it. Because I was discussing earlier how to put this, right? So many things goes into that debates and all. Until and unless you don't have that connectivity on any system in software or embedded, it's not hackable. You cannot every time go and connect one cable, put a new software, update that. You can't do it. Like this device is not a production device, so I can connect it with my laptop and I can flash it. But once it become a final device, you cannot put the software and all until you have connectivity. Something we were talking about firmware over the air updates, right? So here in reliable intelligence in remote areas, if you have edge computing, in edge computing what is the benefit? Like you have local connectivity, right? Maybe Wi-Fi without internet, easily you can control. Bluetooth is one common solution. We call it proximity control, right? Or proximity connectivity. So those things helps a lot in if you have an edge computing solution. This we already discussed, right? Like personal, more of it like personal experiences. So once you have lot of data, we can easily, understand the point of personalization. You have a lot of data, you are doing contextual AI, and whatever user experience is based on that data, you are personalized that experience. Again, it's one of the. Do you people need break? 5-10 minutes. Some of the faces I'm seeing, right? Feeling tired. Otherwise, it will be like, the way you close the slides, I need to close the slide. I don't like that. At least some interactions would be there. Yeah, take break. 10 minutes, Otherwise, then it will complete the same. I don't like the way it's so.